Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the S&P Sports Show. I'm your host, Shawn Stewart, and it is March 30th, 2023. Glad to have you on this program. And by the way, the S&P Sports Show is brought to you by No House Advantage. New users can sign up at nohouseadvantage.com using promo code S4A, and you get an instant match up to $100. The state you live in that you are eligible to play. So if you live in Michigan or like Wisconsin, you are eligible to play No House Advantage.
No House Advantage. Speaking of No House Advantage, as we are doing this show, I am literally driving by the home of the Milwaukee Brewers right now. I'm literally like 20 feet away from it. Well, not 20, maybe more like 50 feet.
Okay.
Maybe 100. I'll say 100 feet.
Okay.
I'm right near Miller Park.
Okay.
And let me say this. They did the same exact thing as the Detroit Tigers did today, losing 4-0. How about that? To start the day. And now I'm driving just past Miller Park. Well, it's not Miller Park anymore. It's American Family Field. So opening day here in Milwaukee is Monday. I will not be attending because I do not like the Brewers. But anyways, just thought I'd share that No House Advantage because the Cubs smoked the Brewers today. And I'm not a Cubs fan either. So anyways, No House Advantage for the Brewers. Let's hope it stays that way this year. Anyways, I don't even know where to start this show today besides that informational tidbit. I mean, it's opening day. We can start with opening day. Baseball's back.
Go ahead.
Baseball's back. The Yankees, they shut out the Giants today, 5-0. Yep. I mean, Aaron Judge started the season off pretty much where he started last year off, right with a home run. How many home runs is he going to hit this year? And I guess we can make this kind of like a prediction show. That'll fill up the time today. So we'll talk a little bit about baseball, where we think the races are going to end up, and maybe give you who we think is going to win the World Series and the pennants in each division in the National League and American League. Now, let me go ahead and say this. I think the biggest story to start today is the pitch clock. Because games are ending like 40 minutes sooner. Like that Yankees-Giants game today, if that became like the average game this season, it would be like the shortest game in like 50 years on average.
Wow.
Okay? Hey, it's what baseball needs. Hey, you can still have all the same commercials, just without, because they're going to still get all their commercials in between the innings and in between the pitching changes. Okay? It's just all those movements in the box and calling timeouts in the box. And you know what? The game's just faster paced. It's not boring people. It's moving along, and I'm all for it. You know what? Some of these pitchers might not like it. Some of these batters might complain about it throws their rhythm off. Dude, if it does it that much, dude, then maybe it shouldn't be in the league. It's for the better of the game. And I think that it's going to trickle down, I think, eventually to college. Eventually, minor league baseball already is rolling with it, and I love it. Speaking of that, a big win for minor league baseball today, getting a collective bargaining agreement for 5 years, doubling their pay. Hey, it's about time. It's about time. I mean, the pay increase isn't all that great. I mean, the most like a the average AAA guy is going to make 17 to 35,000, but still, that it's double. I mean, most of these minor league teams kind of have deals with like families where a player stays at somebody's house, right? But at least they're getting paid now to stay at somebody's house. Okay? You know, so hey, props to baseball. Baseball season started. So you know what? Talk a little baseball here.
Okay.
Who are the contenders? Well, let's start with the American League. Probably the Yankees are contenders in the East, and maybe the Blue Jays if they can ever get their pitching figured out, because they got the bats. The pitching is the question. The Red Sox probably aren't there. The Orioles could be the team of the future because they have a lot of talent about to come up, and some of it's just arrived. But they've got like 7 of the top 100 prospects in baseball right now, and their farm system is just loaded. And then you got the Rays, who are probably contenders, but, you know, I don't know how – I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how they do it in Tampa because nobody goes to their damn games. Nobody goes to those like today might be the one day other than a Yankees game where people are going to, or a Red Sox game where people actually are going to show up to a Rays game. That stadium is the second worst stadium in the league, and nobody goes to those games except Yankees fans and Red Sox fans when they're in town.
No.
And today, opening day. That's it. And the Rays, they're stacked. They are stacked. It's crazy how stacked they are. They definitely got a chance. Then you got the American League Central, okay? Whoever wins that division, cool, but, you know, White Sox or Indians probably, but probably won't do much in the playoffs, okay?
Okay.
Then you got the American League West. You got the Astros, who are the World Series champions, cheaters or not cheaters or whatever. They got a definite chance to repeat. Very strong. And you got the Mariners, who can probably contend for making the playoffs, I think. You know, the team that baffles me the most in that division is the Angels. You got Ohtani and Trout, and then somehow the rest of that team just flat out sucks. And I don't get it. And it's not like Ohtani's has like a huge salary this year. Now, after this season, he could be making $50 million a year.
Oh yeah.
And I think whoever's going to pay him, okay, is going to probably be some stipulations on his contract in regards to, you know, which Ohtani you get, the pitching Ohtani and the hitting Ohtani. It's like 2 different guys. You know what I'm saying? Like you're getting the pitcher Ohtani, who, you know, is probably worth $20 to $25 million a year. And then you got the hitter Ohtani, who's probably worth $25 to $30 million a year. So you put those 2 together, you're probably talking $50 million. So some team is going to pony up $50 million for one guy on the team. Now, I don't know if the Angels are going to be able to re-sign him because I don't know. Because their owner doesn't really show that they want to contend. And he's tried to put the Angels up for sale a couple times. Now, who do I see trying to throw big money at him? Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox, Padres, Phillies, and the Mets. Problem with the New York teams is you got a crazy, stupid high taxes in New York.
Right.
Okay? Same with California. Crazy, stupid high. You know, I'm going to say this. I think the Mariners are a possible landing spot for Ohtani also because they have a very deep Japanese connection in that city. Actually, the Mariners way back in the day were actually owned by Nintendo, believe it or not.
Yeah, I do know that. I was
So,
that.
you know, I think you got to ask yourself, and see, you know, where am I not going to get taxed to play? I mean, he could sign with the Marlins. He could sign with the Astros. No state taxes. Yeah. Hey, if you're making $50 million a year and you're making like another 50 in endorsements, man, you won't get taxed. Man, that's a win. I think the Rangers and the Astros would both be serious contenders for getting his services also because there's no state taxes. I don't know about the Florida teams in that aspect because the Rays don't spend and neither the Rays nor the Marlins can attract flies worth you know what to their games.
Right.
Anyways, we kind of covered the American League.
Now it's the National League. Okay.
You got the National League champion Phillies, definite contenders. You got the Braves, World Series champions the year before, definite contenders. And you got the Mets with the highest payroll, definite contenders, as long as they can get people healthy. For some reason, starting pitchers in New York seem to have a health issue. Jacob deGrom is no longer there. He's with the Rangers now. But now Justin Verlander's there, and he's already on the injured list before his first start.
Yikes.
And they lost Edwin Diaz in the World Baseball Classic. So, you know, those three teams are contenders, and the Marlins, good luck in that deep division. Good luck. You're going to need it. You are going to need it. And then you got the Nationals who are kind of in a rebuild mode also.
Exactly.
Now we're going to go to the National League Central. The Cardinals probably are the favorites to win that division, but that division isn't that deep.
At all.
Now, you got the Brewers who have three stud starting pitchers, but an offense that's below par. That offense might be a heck of a lot better by this time, by the middle of 2024, when they have a bunch of their stud outfield prospects, most likely in the majors by then. So the outfield will be revamped. Okay. Then if they got Willie Adames, what the Brewers need, they need a third baseman. They need a second baseman. Okay. That's what they need. They got the infield besides Adames is pretty weak offensively. So they need infield help in terms of offense. And Corbin Burns is a free agent after this season. I don't think he's going to be back in Milwaukee. So the Brewers will try their best to sign him. And I have a feeling a week or two, he will be traded before the deadline. The arbitration probably what happened at arbitration this year with him and the Brewers over $700,000 and what they kind of said about him probably was the last straw.
I broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I don't see that happening after that. He's going to probably be traded by the trade deadline to a contender. Got the Cubs kind of still in a rebuild mode. Could see him maybe around 500, maybe. You got the Reds, who are not going to be good, but Ken Griffey Jr. is the fourth highest paid player on the team. And you got the Pirates, who are still in rebuild mode. I just don't know how. The most beautiful ballpark. Yeah, I know some people are saying it's Petco now, but it's PNC. They just don't attract people to games. They haven't had a winner there in almost 30 years. It's a shame. It's a damn shame.
It is.
Now, then we get to probably the deepest division in baseball, the National League West. You got the Dodgers, always going to be perennial contenders. You got the Padres, which have, for a small market, have spent beyond belief. You got the Giants, who could, I think, contend for the wild card if done right. And then you got the Diamondbacks, who are still rebuilding. And you got the Rockies, who, maybe can be a 500 team. Now, we get into the playoffs. Let me just say this. Can the Yankees hit and produce runs besides homers? Will the Astros still be able to do their thing without Justin Verlander? And because they have a very young but super talented pitching staff. And can their bats still do the thing? Will the Blue Jays pitching finally step up? I mean, the American League's probably going to come down, most likely, to the Astros and the Yankees again.
That's what it looks like.
And then for the National League, it's probably going to be a National League East team. Maybe not even the division winner. The Dodgers spend the most money normally, but the Mets are trying to spend. I think the National League is wide open. Phillies, Braves, Mets, Padres, Dodgers. It's wide open. The Central team might do a little something, but I don't expect whoever wins the National League Central, I don't expect a wild card team out of that division to make it. But whoever wins that division, maybe 88 to 90 games for the division winner in there. But the National League, as far as making the World Series, it's more wide open, where the American League is probably going to be the Yankees or the Astros. And most likely, if Houston makes it, most likely I would say Houston would repeat. Where if the Yankees would make it, it's all a matter of, can this team hit outside of the homers? Because that team hits a ton of home runs, but they get a lot, like 35% of their run manufacturing from home runs. They don't quite hit for average as much.
Yikes.
So if the Astros make it, I'd probably pick them to repeat if they could make it into the World Series. If the Yankees make it, I think it's a little bit of a bigger crapshoot just because of the fact they don't hit for average and the run production. Plus, I think middle relief is a little bit of a worry for the Yankees, but we'll see. Okay. Now that we've touched on that, let's touch on the Final Four real quick. We kind of talked a lot about it on Tuesday's show, but we got San Diego State in their slow 50s to 60s style type of offense against Florida Atlantic, a very athletic team, good metrics. As we talked about, I think this game comes down to pace. 50s, low 60s. It's a San Diego State kind of a game. Anything high 60s and higher, it's a Florida Atlantic game, and it favors them to win. I don't know who's going to win the game. My guess at this point,
I have UConn in San Diego State.
I'm gonna actually. I'm thinking, I'm gonna take UConn and Florida Atlantic. Just even though Tony Gwynn is the all-time leader in assists for the San Diego State Aztecs. Did not know if you knew that. Anyways.
No, I know that. That's very good information.
Anyways. And in the other game, I mean, UConn's definitely got to be the favorite to win the tourney. I mean, I think the winner. I think the winner of UConn and Miami wins the tournament.
That's what it looks like.
I mean, UConn on paper and what they did last weekend, they should win. But you know what? That's why you play the game.
Right.
That's why we have sports podcast shows and why it's talked about and everything else. And anything can happen. UConn should win. Will they? We'll find out.
Exactly. And that's going to be the higher rated game between the two.
Yep, exactly. Look, Penn State got their new head coach, the Virginia Commonwealth head coach, Mike Rhodes. I saw that. And Virginia Commonwealth, Utah State's coach. So saw that also. So some interesting stuff, that's for sure, going down. Football wise, let's talk a little bit of football. Like I said, I didn't think this night was going to be as long.
I heard some football news. I did hear some football news. I heard about Fresno State that is looking at the Big 12. I don't know if you heard about that news.
Fresno State to the Big 12.
Big 12.
Pac-12 or Big 12. Or I could see the Big 12, but it depends who's going to leave that conference to the Pac-12. Like, let me say this. I think San Diego State's a natural fit for the Pac-12, right?
Especially for football.
What? Yes.
Especially for football and basketball.
And basketball. Natural fit, bigger media market. Fresno's not as big of a media market. Okay? So, okay, cool. But what Big 12 team is gonna go to the Pac-12? Kansas? I would assume it would have to be Kansas or Houston. Because Houston's in a massive media market, and if you have a team in Houston, then you can put the Pac-12 channel in Houston and get TV subscribers. And in the state of Texas, So I think like Houston would be like the team that, or Baylor or, with them losing USC and losing UCLA, they effectively need 4 teams, you would think, to join the conference. Okay? So if you take San Diego State, then you're going to need to take probably Baylor and Houston and TCU. You could take all 3 Texas teams and take San Diego State, and then you could align those Texas teams up with Arizona and Arizona State at the bottom there, and then you'd have like the southern part, and then you could have the north, and then all the California schools would be with the Washington and Oregon, or Washington schools in Oregon, and then boom, you're done. In Oregon State, there you go. All the California schools, Oregon and schools, and Washington schools would be in one part, and then all the Texas schools and Arizona schools would be like in the other. You know, you might need San Diego State because that's Southern California. They might have to be part of that Southern sweep, you know, San Diego State, 2 Arizona schools, some Texas schools, you know, maybe another California school somewhere in there too, to even it out, you know, because you're going to need 4 teams. So you take San Diego State and the 3 Texas schools, then boom, then Fresno State probably comes over, right? And let's say Boise and somebody else. There you go. There's your new Big 12. But the other thing is the Big 12 could go after some other bigger school like Charlotte, who's got football now in a bigger media market.
Finally.
There's just a slew of opportunities there. You're not, you know what? Everybody, I think, is just waiting on the Big Ten to figure out what they're going to do, and then they're going to do it. You know, like it's just a matter of time of who they're going to take. Is it going to be Oregon? Is it going to be Washington? You know, what's Notre Dame going to end up doing here in the end? Are they going to stay independent, or are they just going to join the ACC? Are they going to finally succumb and go to the Big Ten? I mean, I just don't see Notre Dame ever joining the Big Ten. I just don't, because if they join the Big Ten, they would never be strongly relevant in football ever again. I don't see it happening. I'm
pretty sure they know that part.
They probably would join the ACC or keep their agreement as such. But the biggest thing is that they need a TV partner to do that, because without a TV partner, they're forced to join a conference.
And they don't want to do that.
And maybe, you know, if I'm the Big Ten, the one thing I think I would have done when I signed that TV agreement with NBC and CBS and all, I would have told them that they are not allowed to, if they want the Big Ten, that they can't sign Notre Dame. I would have, unless they become part of the conference. That would have forced Notre Dame to go to ABC and ESPN or pretty much join a conference. It would have probably devalued their TV contract just immensely. That's what I would have done. I would have been shrewd and stuck at the Notre Dame once and for all, and told everybody in my conference not to play Notre Dame unless you're in the BCS. That includes USC, Michigan, Purdue, Indiana, all those schools. I would have told them, do not play Notre Dame, except for hockey, because in hockey, you know, Notre Dame's part of the Big Ten. But anything else, you could have told them to go. In basketball and in football, the 2 biggest money, you could have told them to go kick rocks. And it would have really affected Notre Dame. Maybe not basketball-wise, but football-wise, it would have put them in a huge predicament. Huge. And I think they kind of dropped the ball with that. Anyways, you know, football-wise, Lamar Jackson.
Oh, boy.
He's done it to him. I'm just going to say it. He's done it to himself. Most likely, I don't see a team making a deal offer for him. I see him being forced to take the $32.4 million franchise tag offer. You know what he should do? He should sign a 2-year deal with the Ravens is what he should do. At this point, sign it, because you know what? If you franchise at 32, right? Then what's going to stop him next year from franchising you again in the same way for 37? Rather than signing like a 2-year deal for, let's say you do it a little short term, but you get more money than 42 million a year. Maybe you do a 2-year deal for 90 million. Boom. You know what? When that contract ends, you're 28. Then you can go out there and, but put something in your contract that says that the Ravens can't franchise tag you in 2 years or transition tag you. Boom. Deal gets done. That's what I would do. 2 for 90. No, not allowed the franchise tag or transition tag after the deal is completed.
And he still hasn't gotten an agent.
Well, hey, he doesn't want to pay the 10% fee. You know what? If you do a $90 million contract after taxes, that's probably $6 million. The NFLPA will step in and do it for free. So, hey, 2 for 2 years, $90 million. That's it. The Ravens still get them for a long time, for another 2 years, and they can't franchise tag them after or transition tag them. I think the Ravens would do a deal like that, because you know what? That's 2 years with Lamar, and you know what? If he blows his leg out of the running style, guess what? You're off the hook in 2 years. If he performs good, guess what? Boom. I guess we'll see. That's what I would do at this point. As for the Packers and the Jets thing, I think this thing will get done by the draft. I think the pushback on this deal is what's going to be the compensation going to the Jets if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play in 2024 and 2025. I'm going to say this, probably at least a second round pick in 2023 is probably going to go to the Packers. I don't know what the 2024 compensation is. I cannot see a first round pick, even if it's based on snaps in 2024, going to the Packers. I'm sorry. Everybody knows that the Packers want him out, and he's got this contract, and you're basically freeing the Packers of this salary cap responsibility for a guy on a down year who particularly didn't play well the second half of last season. And you want to give up all of that? I mean, we know you're not giving up the 13th pick in the draft, but dang, let's get with it and just be real that, I just don't. I can see 2 seconds. I think something more realistic is a second this year and like a third next year with some type of escalator that can bring it to a second. But he's not worth, 2 firsts in the end. Sorry, 2 seconds. Okay, cool. There you go. Other than that, not too much else going on in the National Football League. Other than a lot of pro days going on right now. Florida had theirs today. Anthony Richardson put on an athletic specimen show. Could have been a little bit better with the accuracy on some passes, but that boy or that man, I should say, he's pretty damn athletic. Probably is going to go in the top 5 in the draft. It looks like the Colts right now, but who knows? Somebody might trade up with the Cardinals and jump ahead of them and snag them. Who knows? Would be kind of crazy. would be crazy if somebody jumped up to 3 to take Richardson and left the Colts hanging there. Man. Woo. Man, that would put the Colts in a desperate situation. Well, they got Gardner Minshew. I guess he would be the starting quarterback, and the Colts season would be toast. But, we'll see.
You don't know what the Colts is going to do.
That would probably then force the Colts to trade back, most likely. Or go and work out a deal with the Ravens for Lamar. I mean, they are the one team that's probably been linked the most to Lamar Jackson. I mean, if there was a trade to happen right now, okay, for Lamar Jackson, it would be to the Colts right now, I think. The Colts aren't going to give up the 4th pick in the draft. Okay? That's not going to happen. Okay? Not going to happen. But I can see something like next year's 1st round pick and something else being done. So, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Colts. I mean, the Colts and the Cardinals are kind of the linchpins in this draft.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And what happens with those picks is gonna dictate what goes on at 4, 5, and 6, and then the rest of the draft will kind of do its own. But 3 and 4 is the critical spots in this draft. Very critical spots. So we'll see what happens. That's for sure. Okay, on that note, I'm sure we got some player props for tonight.
I do.
All right. What do we got?
Okay, so if you're just joining the show, new users can sign up by using promo code S4A, and you will get $100, by the way. So if you put 100, you get 100. If you put 50, you get 50. Okay, this is MLB, by the way. So according to No House Advantage on the MLB player process, this is the season opener. They have Kyle Muller with 4.5 strikeout against the Angels.
Who does he play for?
He plays for, I want to say, the A's.
I'll probably take the over on that. It's early. I think pitchers have the advantage. Sure, why not?
Okay, yep, he plays for the A's. All right, the next one we have Taylor Ward. Now, if you do not know who Taylor Ward is, he is the 3rd baseman playing for the Los Angeles Angels. So they have him listed as a 0.5 single against the Oakland A's.
All you need is 1 hit. Sure, why not?
Okay. And then last but not least, Mookie Betts, not only with 1.5 hits, also a RBI plus run against the Diamondbacks.
He's got to do all of that?
Yep, that's what they have him. 1.5 hits plus the RBI and runs against the Diamondbacks.
I'll have to say no because that's asking for a lot.
Especially for a first game.
I mean, is he capable of it? Yeah, I mean, he could do it in one whack with a home run. But he's got to get a run and an RBI?
Yeah, let me make that clarification real quick because that's what it said. Let me go to my No House Advantage because I'm on the website right now because I want to read it real quick because you're asking too much for that.
He's got to get a run and an RBI and 1.5 hits. I'm going to say bet against it. I mean, can it be done? Yeah, it can be done with a home run. And is it 1.5 bases or 1.5 hits?
So it's a 1.5 hits, RBIs, and runs.
So all of that combined?
All of that combined.
So if he gets 1 hit and 1 RBI, do you win the bet?
That's a very great question. And if he doesn't get the run, then more likely it won't count.
Well, here's the thing. Do you need 1.5 of those all combined? So if you get 2 hits, do you win? Or if you get 2 RBIs, do you win? Or if you get two of 1, let's say he gets 2 walks, right? Let's say he gets walked twice, but then, he gets driven in twice, right? Do you win the bet?
That's a very great question. Because I got to ask him that question. That's a very interesting question.
So maybe a little bit of an explanation on that bet. I mean, put it like this. If he only had to get 1.5 combined of any form of those 3, then I would take the bet. But if he's got to get 1.5 of each, or 1.5, it kind of makes the bet a little tougher.
Yeah, that's kind of tougher. I'll give you a better one. I got a better one. So you have let me see one. The Dodgers and the Diamondbacks starting pitchers with 0.5 first inning total runs.
So basically, if they give up 1 run, they lose in 6 outs.
Basically.
Well,
you never know what the first inning,
I would probably say, because these are they're probably the best starting pitcher for each team. Even though you're going up against the top of the lineup early, you're probably, this part of the season, I would probably take the pitchers to win that. But
because like I said, this is the first game. It's very tough.
I mean, Julio Urias is a pretty damn good pitcher. So, and I don't know who's starting for the Diamondbacks, but
let me check.
But I can tell you this, that if it was based on 3 outs for Julio Urias, I'm going to take my chances with Julio Urias.
All right, let me check right now. It should. Let's see. Okay, Julio Urias is starting opening day against Diamondbacks. Now I'm trying to see Diamondbacks, Dodgers opening day starting pitchers. I'm looking at it on MLB.com because it should tell me who's the starting pitcher.
Let me just go ahead and say that most likely I'm probably going to I'll take the pitchers.
Okay. Zach Gallen, Gallen.
Gallen. I'll take the pitchers.
Okay. So more likely to be under, in other words.
Yep, I'll take the pitchers.
Yeah, that's more of a better bet than the one I just gave you about the Mookie Betts, because that one's kind of tough, especially for a first game.
And then we'll see what happens from there.
Right, because I should ask him. That's a very great question, because I've never even thought of that question before.
It's kind of hard to,
even accomplish that.
Yeah. It's a tough bet to kind of figure out unless you know what the bet specifically entails.
Exactly, and that game don't begin till 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
many people got some time.
Exactly, so you have enough time. So by the time the show is over, you got plenty of time. Then, of course, it'll be on YouTube as well. And then Friday, I'll be doing the player props on the March Madness. So that's why I didn't do it yet. And then do that on Sunday as well. And then after that, it's the Masters. Man, it's going real quick. I swear to God.
Yeah, next week we might even have a special guest. Who knows?
Right. And I'm thinking, should we do a player props on the Masters on the first round? I'm thinking,
sure, why not?
We might as well. Because
I know ESPN, right? Go for the gusto.
Right, because we're going to have a guest, so we might as well do the player props on the early for
Yep.
round 2. Because
Exactly.
because round 1 it'll be we should do. I don't know if they're going to have that on Tuesday. So Thursday, I know they're going to have it for round 2. I know that, but because I think the first.
Well, if they're available Tuesday, I guess we can have them Tuesday. If not, then we'll just roll with it for Thursday for the rest of the Masters. Sounds like a plan.
Right, because I know I think the first golfing tee is like at 7 a.m. on Thursday. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's what I thought. All right. So, I forgot about the hotline. So, if you live in the state of Michigan, the number is 1-800-270-7117. As you can see, by the way, if you live in Wisconsin, it is 1-800-426-2535. In Ohio, it is 1-800-589-9966. The National Suicide Prevention is 1-800-273-8255. And I encourage you to please gamble responsibly, please, as we're trying to push this new platform before football season even starts, because I have a great feeling with this platform, It's going to be even better.
Well, last but not least, Potawatomi Casino in Milwaukee. Sportsbook opens tomorrow, baby. Boom!
Oh, really?
Boom! I can drive on my way home from work and play some bets quick. Boom!
Right. But the weird thing is, I don't know why Washington don't even have can't even play bet on sports. The state Washington, that's really weird.
Washington is unique in its own way, Shawn. You can go there and pitch a tent out in the wide open and find out for yourself if you'd like.
Okay, not DC. I'm talking about the state.
That's what I'm talking about. The state of Washington. Go get yourself a tent and hang out with the rest of them. You'll see what I'm talking about. Lots of tents.
Yeah. Now I see what you're getting at. Yeah. Okay, we will see you guys on Tuesday, as you know, preview of the Masters and a recap of the NCAA championship. As I said, I'm going to do a player prop on Friday and Sunday, so that way you guys can get prepared. So you guys have a nice and wonderful weekend.
Yep, you too, Shawn.